Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you very much for joining. Let us continue our study of Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam in our Bhakti Vaibhava course. But before that, let us chant our Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadādhara Śrīvāsadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Uddama bhava pishuna malavalguhasa vredavaloka madano piyasam sammuya chapamajahat pramadottamasta yasyendriyam vimathitum kuhakairna shekuhu. Bhavadvidha bhagavata stirthabhuta swayam vibho tirthi kurvanti tirthani Svantasthena gadabhrita Tulayam napi na swargam na punarbhavam Bhagavat sangi sangasya martyanam kimutashisha Tiraskrita vipralabdha shapta kshipta hata api nasya tat pratikurvanti tadbhakta prabhavopihi Punascha bhuyat bhagavatanante rati prasangascha tadashrayeshu mahatsu yamyam upayami shrishtim maitrastu sarvatra namo dvijebhya. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So dear devotees, we are continuing our study of Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, entitled Birth of Maharaj Parikshit. And we are reading text number 29 onwards. Shri Suta Goswami is speaking to Shaunakadi Rishis. Srila Sutta Goswami is narrating the predictions of the learned Brahmanas upon the birth of Maharaj Parikshit. They made predictions that he will become a very great personality, and comparisons were made with great personalities like Lord Krishna, like Bali Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Maharaj Yayati, Lord Brahma, Maharaj Yudhishthir, Lord Shiva, Lion, Himalayan mountains, Earth. These are all comparisons that were made between Maharaj Parikshit and all these great personalities, because that is how great Maharaj Parikshit was going to be. Now let's see, after the Brahmanas also disclosed about the death of Maharaj Parikshit, that he will die because of the curse of a son of a Brahman, and the snake bird Takshak will come and bite him. All that was predicted, and now in verse number 29, Iti Rajna Upadishya Vipra Jataka Kovidah Labdha Pachittaya Sarve Prati Jagmu Swakan Grihan. Translation and purport by our beloved founder Acharya Śrīmad Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. Translation of verse number 29. Thus, those who were expert in astrological knowledge, Jataka Kovida. Srila Prabhupada translates that as expert in astrological knowledge as well as performing the different samskaras, the purificatory procedures like birth ceremony, Jataka, samskar. So thus, those Brahmanas who were expert in astrological knowledge and in performance of birth ceremony instructed Maharaj Yudhishthir about the future history of his child, grandchild actually. Then being sumptuously remunerated, Labdha Apachitayah, after being properly remunerated, means they were given dakshina properly, they all returned to their respective homes. Swakan Grihan, they went to their own homes. So they made predictions about Maharaj Parikshit's future. They blessed Maharaj Parikshit, they received their dakshina, and then they went home. Maharaj Yudhishthir treated them with utmost care and respect. Purport. Now regarding Jataka Kovida, this Vipras, Brahmanas, Srila Prabhupada is going to elaborate. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, the Vedas are the storehouse of knowledge, both material knowledge and spiritual knowledge. Everything is there in the Vedas. Further down, Srila Prabhupada says, very interesting, please listen carefully. There are different branches of knowledge in the Vedas, of which astrology and pathology are two important branches necessary for the common man. So the intelligent men, generally known as Brahmanas, took up all the different branches of knowledge to guide society. Even the department of military education, Dhanurved, was also taken up by such intelligent men, and the Vipras were also teachers of this section of knowledge, as were Dronacharya, Kripacharya, etc. So here in this verse it is said, Vipra Jataka Kovida. Now Srila Prabhupada is going to elaborate. Prabhupada says, the Vipras are those who are expert in karmakand or fruitive activities. So there's a slight difference between Vipra and Brahman. Vipras are those who are expert in karmakand, Srila Prabhupada says. Now, this is one meaning, but it doesn't mean that anytime anybody is called Vipra, that person is a karmakandi. Not like that. But one meaning of Vipra is that they're expert in karmakand or fruitive activities, whereas the Brahmanas are expert in spiritual knowledge of transcendence. So Vipra means one who knows karmakand, and Brahmana means one who knows spiritual knowledge, Divya Jnana. spiritual knowledge of transcendence. This department of knowledge is called Jnana Khanda. Jnana Khanda. And above Jnana Khanda is the Upasana Kand. Above Jnana Kand is Upasana Kand. The culmination of Upasana Kand is devotional service to Lord Vishnu. And when the Brahmanas achieve perfection, they are called Vaishnavas. So I hope all of you are following. So there is Vipra, who is expert in karmakandic activities, doing different pujas for different material benefits. That's Vipra. Brahman is on the level of spirituality. Brahma janati iti Brahmana. So now Brahman may be on the level of Jnana Kand. Jnana Kand may lead to liberation. Then there is Upasana Kand. Upasana Kand, Srila Prabhupada says, means devotional service, bhakti. And when a Brahman develops perfection in Upasana Kand, that Brahman is called Vaishnava. So Vaishnava is above the Brahman. Vishnu worship is the highest of all modes of worship. Devanam achyuto yatha. Or Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhana Param. Elevated Brahmanas are Vaishnavas. Prabhupada again reiterates. Elevated Brahmanas are Vaishnavas, engaged in the transcendental loving service of Lord. And thus, Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, which is the science of devotional service, is very dear to the Vaishnavas. Tad Vaishnavanam Priyam, we say Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. It is very dear to the Vaishnavas because it talks about devotional service to Bhagavan, Krishna. Towards the end of the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, Maharaj Yudhishthir awarded the Vipras sufficiently with gold, land, villages, grains, and other valuable necessities of life, which also include cows. So Maharaj Yudhishthir gave donation of cows, gold, clothes to these Brahmanas, to these Vipras, who had performed the Jata Karma Samskar for Maharaj Parikshit. Srila Prabhupada says there is a need of such Vipras in the social structure. Social structure means in Varnashram system, there is a need for Vipras who will do all these rituals. And it is the duty of the state to maintain them comfortably as designed in the Vedic procedure. See, Maharaj Yudhishthir is a Kshatriya and he is giving donation to the Vipras, to the Brahmanas. This is required. The Kshatriyas should maintain the Brahmanas as a service. Such expert Vipras, being sufficiently paid by the state, could give free service to the people in general. And thus, this department of Vedic knowledge could be available for all. This is very important. What the Britishers did when they came to India is, they stopped two things in the Sanatana Dharma in India. Number one, free spiritual education. They stopped it. And number two, free distribution of prasad. The British, they stopped free distribution of prasad. This is historically proven. And they stopped free education. They monetized education. This was never so in the Vedic culture, that you pay a fee and you get admitted to a school. They monetized it. Previously, it was you learn under a qualified guru. After the education is complete, according to your capacity, you give Guru Dakshina. And also food, water, these things were never charged. They were given. There were Annakshetras, and as charity, the kings, the Kshatriyas used to maintain. In fact, it is mentioned in our Niti Shastra that a Grihastha should never eat food until the Grihastha goes out and calls out 3 times. Is there anyone who is hungry? Is there anybody who wants bhiksha? And then the Grihastha can go and honor prasadam. Because there was a system of free distribution of prasad. But unfortunately, when the Muslims, the Mughals, and the British came, they destroyed the Vedic culture. And they monetized education, they monetized food. So here Prabhupada says, such expert Vipras, being sufficiently paid by the state means by the Kshatriya rulers, could give free service. So the Brahmanas never had to worry about their maintenance. Now what happens? If the Brahmanas are not taken care of by the government, then they have to think about money. A Brahmana should never have to think about money. A Brahmana should only think about the Vedas, Pathan, Yajan, studying the scriptures, teaching the scriptures, performing yajnas, teaching how to do yajnas to others who are interested. That is the duty of a Brahmana. But then the Brahmana has to think about raising funds for themselves and for the family. Then their activities also lose the purity. Similarly, in our ISKCON also, we have to be careful. Srila Prabhupada said, Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish Varnashram, Daivi Varnashram. And we have to be careful. We should not put the burden of fundraising on the brahmacharis. It is very sad when brahmacharis have to go around asking for donations. It is the duty of grihasthas to take care of all this for the temple. The grihasthas should take the lead, that we will raise funds, we will collect Lakshmi. Not the brahmacharis. When the sannyasis and brahmacharis get involved in money matters, it is less than ideal. It is less than ideal. Renounced order of life, wearing saffron clothes means nothing to do directly with money. They will come and teach. They will speak Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, chant, do kirtan, do deity worship, teach the scriptures. That is the duty of those who are clad in the saffron cloth. And for us who wear white, for us who are grihasthas, it is our duty to raise funds, to think about pennies and cents, not those in the saffron. So grihastha should be careful. It is our responsibility. Verse number 30. Sa esha loke vikhyatah parikshit iti yat prabhu purvam drishtam anudhyayam pariksheta naresh viha. This is a very important verse. Please listen carefully. The meaning of Parikshit is given. Why Parikshit was called Parikshit. Very beautiful verse. So his son would become famous in the world as Parikshit. Parikshit means the examiner, he who examines. Because he would come to examine all human beings in his search after that personality whom he saw in the womb of his mother before his birth. Thus he would come to constantly contemplate him. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat. It is our duty to somehow or the other think of Krishna. And Parikshit Maharaj was thinking of Krishna constantly out of gratitude, because this personality had appeared in the womb and saved his life. So he's thinking out of gratitude, and everywhere he's trying to find Krishna. Sa esha loka vikhyata. He will become loka vikhyat. He'll become very famous. Parikshit, one who examines. Parikshit iti. Why? Purvan drishtam anudhyayan. Constantly doing anudhyan, constantly contemplated, thinking about Purvam drishtam, that personality that I had seen. Pariksheta nareshu iha. In every nara, every human being he saw, he met, he was trying to see, is this that same personality that I saw in the womb? Is this Krishna? Is this Krishna? Like that. Always was examining. Parikshit. Parikshan kar rahe. In the second paragraph of the purport, Srila Prabhupada quotes Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami remarks in this connection that every child is given an impression of Lord from his very childhood. Certainly becomes a great devotee of the Lord like Maharaj Parikshit. Srila Jiva Goswami is saying that a child who from the very childhood is exposed to Krishna consciousness will become Krishna conscious devotee. So these exposures are required. Bringing children for satsang, having them attend Nam Sankirtan, devotional dramas. In this way, we have to engage the kids from childhood. Then they will become great devotees. There is a practical, now Prabhupada is going to talk about something very intimate. Please listen carefully. There is a practical example, Prabhupada is saying, there is a practical example in my personal life in this connection. My father was a pure devotee of Lord Krishna. And when I was only 4 or 5 years old, my father gave me Yugal Kishore, the divine couple, forms of Radha and Krishna. In a playful manner, I used to worship these deities along with my sister. And I used to imitate the performances of a neighboring temple of Radha Govind. So we all know on Harrison Road, where Srila Prabhupada grew up in Calcutta, there is the Radha Govinda temple, ancient temple. And Srila Prabhupada used to go every day. It is described in Prabhupada Lilamrit. So the way Prabhupada saw the temple deity worship being conducted, Prabhupada would do the same on his own home deities of Radha Krishna. Then Prabhupada says, by constantly visiting this neighboring temple and copying the ceremonies in connection with my own deities of play, I developed a natural affinity for Radha and Krishna. By worshipping Radha and Krishna, even playfully, although playfully, Prabhupada says he developed affinity as a child. He developed affinity for Radha and Krishna. Later on, these activities were suspended due to my association in the schools and colleges, and I became completely out of practice. So this is a fact. The schools and colleges, as we all know, they are spiritual slaughter houses. Schools and colleges are spiritual slaughter houses. And day by day, the atmosphere, the environment is growing worse and worse. It is said that generation changes every 12 years, correct? There's a new generation every 12 years or so. So now I'm 42. And my generation was different. I don't know. There are names also. X generation, Y generation, Z generation, millennial. There are different names for different generations also. I don't know. But whatever was my generation, born in 1980, now those who are born in a decade later, that's a different generation. And like that. So when I analyze, because I see patients and meet people of different ages, and when I see there is a distinct difference, there is a definite difference between people of different generations. And my observation is all generations are corrupt in Kali Yuga. Even if you look at the baby boomers, they are famous for IV drug use, and hepatitis C is commonly found in them. All the baby boomers, 1946 to 1960. So that generation also is like that. And after that also. But as time is going by, it is my observation that the people are becoming more and more corrupt in their thoughts and in their actions. My Guru Maharaj, Srila Radhanath Swami Maharaj, was saying, when he went to school in the 1950s and 1960s, the biggest problem in schools was kids sticking chewing gum under the desk. It was a big problem. Kids would smuggle chewing gum, bubble gum in class, and they would chew on it, and then they would stick it under the desk, and then it would stick to the clothes of people or, contaminate. And Maharaj said, in today's generation, the greatest problem in school is people bringing guns to school and shooting, mass violence, teenage pregnancy. When I was doing my residency at Emory University, I did a rotation where we were just dealing with teenage pregnancies. These are, youngest I saw was 11-year-old, Hare Krishna, 11-year-old girl who was pregnant. So these are 13, 14-year-old girls who are pregnant. They are still in school. And it's a very big problem. Very, very big problem. What is going to happen to that girl who is pregnant? What is going to happen to the child in the womb? Nobody wants that child. And from the childhood, from the beginning, the child grows up with those samskars that I am unwanted. I was an accident. I'm an unwanted child. And then there's a condition, you can look it up. Adverse childhood event, ACE. Adverse childhood events. Kids who go through adverse childhood events where they don't get love and affection from their parents, they don't have a stable family unit, they go through different negative experiences, adverse childhood experiences. And as a result, they have a higher propensity to be antisocial, to take to drugs, illicit sex, being confrontational, addictions, so many problems. They have a higher rate of divorce. All those problems are there. So this is Varna Shankara. Bhagavad Gita clearly says this is Varna Shankara. Unplanned, unwanted, without Garbhadhan Samskar, kids come into this world and it simply deteriorates the society. And generation after generation, things are getting worse. Srila Jiva Goswami is saying that kids have to be given Krishna consciousness right from the time they are in the womb, like Parishit Maharaj got, and throughout their childhood. Then they will grow up to be sober, moral, prudent, saintly gentlemen and gentle ladies. And Prabhupada is giving his own example that when he went to school and colleges, he became completely out of practice. Hare Krishna. But in my youthful days, when I met my spiritual master, Prabhupada was 26 years old when he first met Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. But in my youthful days, when I met my spiritual master, Śrīmad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, again I revived my old habit. And the same playful deities became my worshipful deities in proper regulation. Actually, Srila Prabhupada is saying this out of humility. Srila Prabhupada never was out of practice. Srila Prabhupada was never forgetful of Radha and Krishna. In fact, in Prabhupada Lilamrita, it is mentioned that when Srila Prabhupada started going to college, schools and colleges, Prabhupada naturally was busy with studies. He was a top student and he was not getting so much time for deity worship. So Krishna appeared in Prabhupada's dream. This story is there in Prabhupada Lilamrita. You can read. Krishna appeared to Srila Prabhupada in the dream and said, "Oh, you have forgotten me now." And immediately Srila Prabhupada resumed the proper worship of his Radha and Krishna deities. A pure devotee, a Nitya Siddha devotee can never be forgetful of Krishna. So Prabhupada is humbly saying like that. Verse number 31. Sarajaputro vavridhe ashu shukla ivodupaha apuryamanaha pitribhi kashthabhir ivasvanvaham. As the moon in its waxing fortnight develops day after day, so the royal prince Parikshit very soon developed luxuriantly under the care and full facilities of his guardian grandfathers. Who were the guardian grandfathers? For Rajaputra Parikshit, it was the Pandava brothers. Pitribhi means the parental guardians. Udupa means moon. Eva Udupa. Shukle Eva Udupa. There are two phases of the moon, Shukla Paksha and Krishna Paksha. Shukla Paksha is the waxing, when moon grows. And Krishna Paksha means waning, when the moon becomes smaller and smaller. So here it is said that Shukle Eva Udupa. Just like the moon waxes and grows, in the womb, Parikshit grew. And even after his birth, he continued to grow as a newborn, into an infant, into a toddler, into a young boy, like that. Yakshamano swamedhena nyati droha jihasaya raja labdha dhano dadyo nanyatra karadandayoho. Just at this time, King Yudhishthir was considering performing a horse sacrifice, Ashwamedh Yajna. Why? To get freed from sins incurred from fighting with kinsmen. The Kurukshetra war, so many crores of people were killed. So to do prayaschitta for all the sins incurred, Maharaj Yudhishthir wanted to do a Ashwamedha Yajna for pleasing Krishna. But he became anxious to get some wealth, for there was no surplus funds outside of fines and tax collection. So fine and tax collection is to be used for the maintenance of the people. You take tax from people and you do welfare activities for the people with that money. You cannot use it for anything else. So Yudhishthir Maharaj only had money collected from taxes and fines. This money is to be used for public welfare activity, to maintain the state, maintain the country. Now, during the Kurukshetra war, a lot of funds were spent and the treasury was practically empty. So there were no funds to perform Ashwamedha Yajna. Maharaj, Yudhishthir was so scrupulous. He was so cautious about his duty that he would not misuse funds. I'll give you an example, two examples. One is from the life of Shri Chanakya Pandit. Chanakya Pandit was sitting and writing at night. So he had a candle, he had a lantern. And then a visitor came to ask some questions, personal questions to Chanakya Pandit about Niti. So Chanakya Pandit told him, please wait 1 minute. And Chanakya Pandit switched off the lantern and he had another lantern next to him. He turned on the other lantern and he said, Ab bolo. Now tell me, what is it? So the neighbor was bewildered. He said, why did you switch off this lantern and turn that lantern? He said, this lantern comes from the king. I am writing something for the king as part of my service to the king. So I can use the king's lantern. But now you have come to ask some personal question, not related to my job, my duty. So it is unethical to use the king's lantern. So I turned it off because the oil in that lantern is coming from the king. And this is my own personal lantern. So for personal thing, I will use this light. He was so careful. And my dear friends, please pay attention. This is extremely important. One may think, this is not so important. I am a devotee of Krishna. Even if I commit sins, my devotion will burn everything. But please remember, that's a namaparad. To commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name is a namaparad. And it is committed by us subconsciously more than we realize it. I'll give you another example. I personally know this devotee. This devotee collected some funds for the temple. Not even collected, actually, out of goodwill, one devotee gave money to this devotee that you use this for Santa Seva. This devotee is a Brajvasi. And so many devotees, they visit Vrindavan. So one devotee gave him money that you keep this money. I think it was some 4,000 or 5,000 rupees that, you do some Santa Seva. Radha Kund, something, you feed the Radha Kund widows, some you do some seva some Brajvasi seva you do with this money on my behalf. So the Brajvasi said, yeah, no problem. Now this Brajvasi has a younger brother. They live together in Vrindavan. And the younger brother was into some business. He had some shop and it was not doing well. So he had incurred some debt, udhar. So literally that same evening, this younger brother coincidentally came. In the morning only, that devotee friend had given him 5,000 rupees. In the evening, this brother comes and he says, I'm really, Bhaiya, my elder brother, I'm really in need of some money. Can you give me some money, please? I'm very much short on funds. I need some help. So he thought, he's also a Brajvasi. He's also living in Vrindavan only. So he gave 5,000 rupees to his younger brother. And this devotee, he spiritually fell down later on. The elder brother. Why? Because this is a fraud. And you do fraud with the faith of an innocent devotee who has given you money for serving Radha Kund widows who live there, who are without a house, without food. How can you give it to your younger brother? That's a vested interest. That's a conflict of interest. ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए. So whatever purpose we have, for whatever purpose we have received the money, we should use it for that only. We may be devotees, we may be chanting 16 rounds, 64 rounds, doesn't matter. We are not above the laws of material nature, because the laws of material nature have been written by Krishna only. So how can we disobey? A humble devotee will never disobey the orders of Krishna. Therefore, if you read the book Kirtan Revolution, the biography of Shripad Aindra Prabhu, in that it is mentioned that sometimes devotees would come and they would give some money to Shripad Aindra Prabhu as a donation. Ki, Aindra Prabhu, you are running this 24 hours Kirtan, just some sahayog from our side, some help from our side. Keep this 100 rupees, keep this 500 rupees. Devotees would give some donations. And they would say that you use this for your Kirtan Mandali. Shripad Aindra Prabhu would say, no. Yes, I need Lakshmi for my Kirtan Mandali. I have to repair the harmoniums, I have to buy mridangas, I have to buy medicines for these brahmacharis who are helping me in the 24-hour Kirtan. Their clothes get torn, I may have to buy a dhoti or a chadar for them. In winter, I may have to buy a jacket for them. I need money, yes, for my Kirtan Mandali. But don't give me this 500 rupees saying, putting a condition on me that Ayendra Prabhu use it for your Kirtan Mandali. Because he said, a Brijwasi may come to me and say that I am sick, I need some money for my medicines. And I may give to that Brajvasi. But then I am lying to you because you gave me for Kirtan Mandali. I am using it for something else. If you want to give a donation, you have to do it with faith and don't put any condition. Ayendra Prabhu, this is for seva. You can use it the way you want. अगर ऐसा है तो दो, वरना मत दो. Because I will not remember ये पैसा किधर से आया, किसके लिए use करना है, what promise I have given. So don't put condition. So that is another thing. When we give donation, it should be without any condition. We have faith in you, O Sadhu, O Vaishnav. We have faith in you. You take this and you use it the way you want. Like that. So these are very subtle things, but for a sadhak, these things are important. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was so careful. He had money in the treasury, but that was collected from tax and fines and was supposed to be used for the welfare activity of the people, not for some yajna. So now what he did? Tad abhipretam alaksha bhrataro achyutachoditaha dhanam rahinam ajahur udicham dishi bhurishaha. Understanding the hearty wishes of the king, understanding the ashay of King Yudhishthir, his brothers Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev, Achyuto Chodita, as advised by Lord Krishna, Achyut, they dhanam prahinam, they collected sufficient riches from the Udichyam, from the northern direction. This gold was left behind by King Marutta. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains who Maharaj Marutta is. He was one of the great emperors and he reigned long before Mahabharata took place. He was the son of Maharaj Avikshit and was a great devotee of Surya Dev, of the son of sun god, that is Yamraj. So Maharaj Marutta was a devotee of Yamrajji. His brother Samvarta was a rival priest of the great Brihaspati, the learned priest of demigods. So his brother Samvarta was a priest and he was the competitor of Brihaspati. He conducted one sacrifice called Shankar Yajna, by which the Lord was so satisfied that he was pleased to hand over to him the charge of a mountain peak made of gold. This peak of gold is somewhere in the Himalayan mountains, and modern adventurers may try to find it there. Sounds like a good idea. When Srila Prabhupada's disciple, let me ask a quiz question, who knows? Which disciple of Srila Prabhupada got very inspired by reading this and actually went on an expedition to find that golden mountain? Anybody knows? No? Shama Vallavi Mataji?
Prabhuji, is it Shyam Sundar Prabhu?
Yes, very good. Anybody who has read the book Chasing Rhinos with the Swami knows. Shyam Sundar Prabhu, he actually took a break from his service in ISKCON and he said, let me go and find, because if I find this mountain, I can give it to ISKCON and then we will have no problem of funds. So he went like that after reading this. Devotees can get inspired. Prabhupada didn't approve so much. He said, instead you chant, Krishna will provide whatever we need. Yogakshemam Mahamyam. Every day he used to give in charity to the learned Brahmanas. Due to his pious activities, he remained a young man throughout his life and reigned over the world for 1000 years. Maharaj Marutta. He handed over his only daughter to Maharshi Angira Muni. The success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends, third paragraph. The success of a particular type of sacrifice completely depends on the priest in charge. In this age of Kali, all kinds of sacrifices are forbidden because there is no learned priest among the so-called Brahmanas. Ashwamedha Gavalambam Sannyasam Palapaitrakam Devarena Sutotpatim Kalopancham Vivarjayet. These types of sacrifices are banned in Kali because there are no qualified people. In this age of Kali, therefore, only one kind of sacrifice is recommended. Yajna Sankirtana prayer. And that is Harinam Sankirtan, as inaugurated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nama Sankirtanarambhe Bhavishyami Shachi Sutta. So what happened was, this King Marut, he used to perform yajnas, and he would donate huge quantities of gold to the Brahmanas in charity. And he would give them whatever golden plate he would serve them prasad on. He would tell them, you can take that plate also after you finish eating. Big solid gold plates. And he would give a lot of donations also. So these Brahmanas used to come attend the sacrifice of Maharaj Maruta, and then they would go to their abode, their ashram in the Himalayan mountains. Now they would go to the Himalayas, and their ashram was on the top of a mountain somewhere. So now they have to climb up. So why will they climb up carrying all this burden of gold? They didn't care for gold. So they would just toss it, just throw it. Before starting their climb on the mountain to go to their ashram, they would just throw. So what happened with time, all the Brahmanas would keep throwing their golden plates, golden ornaments, gold pieces that the king had given to them, gifted to them, gold coins. They would just throw. It became a big pile. It became like a mountain of gold. And the interesting thing is, nobody came to claim it. No citizens came and stole from that heap of gold. Why? Prabhupada explains, because everybody was fully satisfied under the rule of Maharaj Yudhishthira and the kings before Maharaj Yudhishthira who were ruling India, the Kurus. They were very satisfied. So that gold was there. And then Krishna told Arjun, go and bring that gold. It's just lying there. You can claim it. So Arjun went and got it and gave it to Maharaj Yudhishthira. So what is the name of Arjun? Dhananjay. Because he got that dhan for his elder brother. Verse number 34. Tena sambrita sambharo dharma putro yudhishthira vajimedhai stribhir bhuito yadnai samayajat harim. By those riches, King Yudhishthira could procure the ingredients for 3 Ashwamedh yajnas, 3 horse sacrifices. Thus, the pious King Yudhishthira, who was very fearful after the battle of Kurukshetra because of the sins, he pleased Lord Hari. Sam yajat. Yajat means to worship. Sam yajat means samyak rupena, nicely. He perfectly worshipped Lord Hari. Sam yajat Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, through the yajnas. Because Krishna is Yagya Purush. He is the Ahami Sarva Yagyanam Bhokta Cha Prabhurevacha. Krishna is the Prabhu, Krishna is the Bhokta, enjoyer of all yajnas. Maharaj Yudhishthira performed 3 Ashwamedh yajnas for the satisfaction of Krishna. Krishna was pleased. Purport. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the ideal and celebrated pious king. Yes, because he was always engaged in serving Krishna. He therefore took all the responsibility for sins committed in the Kurukshetra war. Dekho. He was not passing the buck, passing the blame to somebody else. He took responsibility. Even though he was not responsible, it was Duryodhan and Shakuni and Karna who were responsible. But still, Yudhishthira Maharaj took responsibility. He was the victim. They were the aggressors. But still, he considered himself the aggressor. And to get rid of all these sins, he wanted to perform 3 sacrifices in which horses are offered at the altar. Such a sacrifice is very costly. So remember, the horse is sacrificed, but immediately the horse gets a new body, a youthful body. Even Maharaj Yudhishthira had to collect the necessary heaps of gold left by Maharaj Maruta and the Brahmanas who were given gold in charity by King Maruta. The learned Brahmanas could not take all the loads of gold given by Maharaj Maruta, and therefore they left behind. And this was brought by Dhananjay, Arjun. Prabhupada, beside that, golden plates, utensils which were used in sacrifice were also thrown in the dustbins, and heaps of gold remain unclaimed property for a long time. Imagine this. Now, even if you leave 10 rupees, it will not be unclaimed. People will come inside the house and take the property. So like that. But people, India was Sone ki Chidiya, very prosperous country, because Varnashram system was there. Lord Shri Krishna advised the brothers of Maharaj Yudhishthira to collect the unclaimed property because it belonged to the king. Now everything in the kingdom belongs to the king. So technically that heap of gold was belonging to the king. So there was nothing wrong. And anyway, he used that for yajna to please Lord Hari. So like that. He didn't use it for himself. ऐसा नहीं कि महाराज युधिष्ठिर बोले जा लेके आओ gold, bring gold, and then Maharaj Yudhishthira is enjoying with that gold. That would be a grave sin. Using it for yajna to please Krishna. One should take lessons from the acts of Maharaj Yudhishthira, Prabhupada writes. And of course, Prabhupada quotes from Bhagavad Gita, Yajnartha karmano anyatra karma bandhana. If we do karma for Krishna, mat karma krin mat paramo, then there is no reaction. It becomes a karma. But when we do it for anything else other than for Krishna, then bandhana. That karma binds us. Prabhupada says, therefore, the main purpose of performing sacrifices is to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Shri Hari. Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Bhagavatam says, therefore, the prime duty of human being is to satisfy Supreme Lord by the performance of one's occupation duty. Atha Pumbir Shreshta Varnashrama Vibhaga. Swanushidasya dharmasya. Whatever is our swadharma, you do that for what? Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Knowing that the perfection of our dharma is to please Hari. We should do it in a way that will please Hari. Next paragraph, Prabhupada says, in the Vedic literatures, it is recommended that in Kali Yuga, people engage in glorifying Lord Krishna by chanting the holy name of Krishna. Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. But Prabhupada said we should chant the name of Krishna without offense. Nirapradha Nama Lile Pabe Premadhan. Very happy that our Mukta Sangha Prabhu is back with us. In the purport also Prabhupada is saying Kirtana Deva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. Text 35. Ahuto Bhagavan Rajna Yajayitva Dvijair Nripam Uvasa Katichin Masan Suridam Priyakam Yaya. Lord Shri Krishna, Bhagavan, Lord Shri Krishna, personality of Godhead, being invited to the sacrifices of Maharaj Yudhishthira, saw to it that they were performed by qualified Brahmanas. After that, for the pleasure of the relatives, Krishna remained for a few months there with Maharaj Yudhishthira in Hastinapur. So this is very important Siddhanta. Please listen carefully. Yudhishthira Maharaj invited Krishna for those yajnas because Krishna was the object of the worship in this yajna. These yajnas were performed for the pleasure of Krishna. So Yudhishthira Maharaj invited them. It is written clearly, and Krishna came. Okay. Because Krishna came, Krishna arranged and made sure that the sacrifices were performed by qualified Brahmanas. And therefore the sacrifices were successful. So success depends whether Krishna is there or not there. Why Yudhishthira Maharaj? Yudhishthira Maharaj could have defeated Shakuni in the dice game also. But Yudhishthira Maharaj did not invite Krishna. Duryodhan took Shakuni with him, took Karna with him. But our Yudhishthira Maharaj went alone. He didn't have Krishna with him. Therefore, we should never be without Krishna. We should always be with Krishna. Yudhishthira Maharaj is teaching us. As soon as Draupadi called Krishna, then Krishna came. Agre kuruna matha pandavanam dushasanena ritavastra kesha Krishna tadakro shadananyanatha Govinda damodara madhaveti. As soon as Draupadi called Krishna, Krishna came. Then there was all success. Then Dhritarashtra was trembling in his throne. He said, "Oh, Draupadi, ask for some benediction. What do you want? How can I satisfy you?" She said, "Immediately free my husbands." Okay, ask me for something else. Immediately return all their weapons. Okay, ask something else. Why? Because now Krishna had come. Purport. Lord Shri Krishna was invited by Maharaj Yudhishthira to look into the supervision of the performance of yajna. And Lord Krishna, to abide by the orders of his elder cousin, caused the performance of yajna by learned Brahmanas. Simply taking birth in the family of a Brahman does not make one qualified to perform yajnas. He must be twice born by proper training and initiation from the bona fide Acharya. Prabhupada says, Janmana jayate Shudra, Samskarad bhavet dvija. By birth, everybody is Shudra. Kalau Shudra Sambhavat. But it is by samskar that we become Brahman. Lord Shri Krishna was entrusted to look after this arrangement of yajna, and perfect as he is, Krishna is all perfect. He's Param Brahma, Param Dham, Pavitram, Paramam Bhava. He's all perfect in every way. He caused the yajnas to be performed by the bona fide twice born Brahmanas for successful execution. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partha Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shri Vijaya Bhutir Dhruvani Tirmatirmama. Wherever there is Krishna, wherever there is Arjun, the pure devotee of Krishna, then there is always success, there is morality, there is strength, there is victory. Last verse, verse 36. Tato Rajnya Bhyanujnataha Krishnaya Sah Bandhubhi Yayau Dvaravatim Brahman Sarjuno Yadubhir Vritaha. Srila Suta Goswami is saying, O Shaunak Rishi, thereafter Lord Krishna, having bade farewell to King Yudhishthir, Draupadi, and other relatives, started for the city of Dwarka, accompanied by Arjun and other members of the Yadu dynasty. So Krishna went back to Dwarka, accompanied by Arjun and other members of the Yadu dynasty, after taking permission from Maharaj Yudhishthir, Draupadi, and other relatives in Hastinapur. In this way, Maharaj Yudhishthir performed the Jata Karma Kriya for Maharaj Parikshit, got his astrological chart read, got him blessed by the Brahmanas, and then because of the war, so much murder, assassination, slaughter, genocide had happened. So much negative energy, so much karma, so much sins. Actually, there was no sin because the Kurukshetra war was conducted under Krishna's order. Krishna wanted that fight. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha. Krishna said, you fight. Yudhyacha. So it was done for Krishna's sake, on Krishna's order. Therefore, it was a karma. There was no sin. But still, being a pure devotee, Maharaj Yudhishthir considered himself subordinate to the laws of material nature and considered himself responsible and took the responsibility and wanted to do what is the right thing to be done by a king in such situations. And what is that? To perform yajna, to neutralize the sins, prayaschitta. So that was done. And after that, taking permission, Lord Krishna, who was worshipped by Maharaj Yudhishthir through 3 yajnas, went back to Dwarka. That ends the chapter, birth of Maharaj Parikshit. A day after tomorrow, Krishna willing, we will do Shri Ganeshaya Namaha. We will start reading the next chapter, chapter number 13, which is called Dhritarashtra Quits Home. Dhala almost. Dhritarashtra Quits Home. That we will start next time. Granthara Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Anant Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki Jai. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Ajay Vaishnav, please go ahead.
Prabhuji, one of the purport we read today was talking about that we are not having qualified brahmanas, so the sacrifices which are done are not effective.
Sacrifices like Ashwamedh, where animal is slaughtered.
Oh, okay.
Rupa said these types of like horse sacrifice, Ashwamedh Gavalambam, Sannyasam, somebody can share this verse in the chat box, please. It's from Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's from actually Brihan Narada Purana, I think. Mahaprabhu quotes this to Chandkazi. Ashwamedham Gavalambam, Sannyasam Palapaitrakam, Devarena Sudutpatim, Kalau Pancham Vivarjayat. 5 activities are banned in Kali Yuga. And one of them is Ashwamedh Yajna and Gomedh Yajna.
Okay.
Cow sacrifice and horse sacrifice. Other sacrifice we can do.
Okay. My question was that, in temples, whenever there's like Gita Jayanti, whenever temple inaugurations are there or other events are there, we do yajna. So would they be effective or not? So
yes. In Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Prabhuji, in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, there is a verse spoken by Shri Shukracharya. Someone can share that verse, please. Shukracharya tells that any sacrifice where Krishna Naam is taken, that sacrifice becomes successful. Even if there will be a fault, mistake in the performance of the yajna, if Krishna Naam is taken, then that yajna becomes successful. Like that. I can share that verse. If nobody can find it, I can share it later. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. I still have at least 1 hour of hospital work left. So we'll wrap it up real quick, but I will take question from Shama Vallavi Mataji and Mukta Sangha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. Thank you for the wonderful class.
Hare
Prabhuji, after Kurukshetra war, Krishna was about to leave, then Yudhishthira Maharaj requested, then they go and visit Bhishma Dev. Again he will start, again he will stop, Prabhuji, for Ashwamedha Yajna.
Yes, Mataji. So actually, now different acharyas, I have heard little different opinion, but the most common consensus that I have heard, and I may be little off here, but what I have heard is after the Kurukshetra war, Krishna goes to Hastinapur, then the Antyeshti Kriya of all the departed souls, departed family members takes place as described in Śrīmad Bhāgavatam. Then that Ashwathama thing takes place. Ashwathama attacks, Parikshit Maharaj is saved. Then Maharaj Yudhishthira wants to perform 3 yajnas, and these yajnas were not like performed over few hours. If you read about these yajnas go on for days and weeks. Each yajna, the fire goes on for many days. So each yajna took time. 3 such yajnas were performed. So that took time. Krishna came to where Bhishma Dev was lying. It is said that Bhishma Dev was lying for around 6 months. Some scholars of Mahabharata, they say that for 6 months Bhishma Dev was lying on the bed of arrows. Then Krishna came after spending time in Hastinapur. So, and then he was pacified. Then again he stayed for some time, and finally taking permission, then he went to Dwarka. So like that. So he was there for many months, Krishna, after the Kurukshetra war.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. One more question. If these Brahmanas are nicely taken care of the kings, why then Sudama Vipra and even Dronacharya, he could not give milk to his son Ashwatthama? Why they were so poor, Prabhuji, that time?
Yes, so Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his commentary to the 80th chapter of the 10th canto, where Sudama Charitra is described, he says that Sudama did not want to become wealthy. He was not interested. If he went to a king, the king would have helped him. Like he went to Krishna, he didn't want to go to Krishna, but his wife insisted that no, you go. He went to Krishna, his problem was solved. But he had a yachak vritti. He didn't want to go and ask. He said, the way Krishna keeps me, I will stay like that. So these Brahmanas, sometimes they wanted to be poor so that they could take complete ashray, complete shelter of Krishna. As far as Dronacharya was concerned, Dronacharya also could have been rich, but there was some lack of reciprocation from the king. There was Drupad Maharaj. Although Drupad Maharaj had said that I will share my wealth with you, but later on, out of false ego and greed, Drupad Maharaj declined, and Dronacharya had to face poverty. Generally, the Brahmanas were very nicely taken care of, and these few examples like Sudama Vipra, Dronacharya, these are part of Krishna's Leela. These were exceptions. They were not the rule. The rule is that the Brahmanas were taken care of nicely, but Brahmanas themselves were not interested in money. Their sense gratification was Shastra Swadhyaya. Studying the Shastra, teaching the Pathan was their forte, and was their, you can call, sense gratification. For a Kshatriya, sense gratification is having nice weapons, having nice treasury, nice big army. For a Brahmana, it is having nice money, wealth, good business, lots of cows, like that. But the Brahmanas were not interested in cows and gold coins. They were interested in Shastra. They were interested in whether I am Dvivedi or Trivedi or Chaturvedi, like that. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Last question, Muktasanga Prabhu. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So, Prabhu, you mentioned that generally king who has all the money from his subjects, right, like taxes and all that, one should use that for the benefit of the kingdom. Right? So Yudhishthira Maharaj was very much aware of this, and all the wealth he had is from taxes. So how can he bet entire wealth in the game of dice? Wasn't he responsible?
So yes and no. He was not responsible because he was invited by Dhritarashtra Maharaj. Dhritarashtra Maharaj was like his father. After Maharaj Pandu died, his biological father died, his Kakaji, his uncle, Dhritarashtra, brought him up like a child, protected him. And Maharaj Dhritarashtra had given that half the kingdom of Indraprasth to Maharaj Yudhishthira. And that same Dhritarashtra Maharaj who had gifted him Indraprasth is calling him, beta, come, let's have a game of dice. You and Duryodhan play game of dice. I have created a big sabha, big assembly hall. So all the kings of the world can come and witness this Dyuta Krida, this game of dice. The king used to play. So when a father figure ordered him to come, Yudhishthira Maharaj did not want to go. But he went just to keep the word of his father figure, Maharaj Dhritarashtra. So it was not Yudhishthira Maharaj's fault, it was Dhritarashtra's fault that he invited for that gambling, which was allowed for Kshatriyas. But then the dice was loaded because it belonged to Shakuni, and Shakuni was throwing the dice, even though Duryodhana was supposed to throw it. It is like, I invite you, Mukta Sangha Prabhu, play a game of cricket with me when you come to Atlanta. And you come, and then your team, my team. And then when my batting comes, I say, now Sachin Tendulkar will bat for me. That's not fair. You came to play with me. So like that, Duryodhan invited. Dhritarashtra said, come play with my son Duryodhan. Both you brothers play. And then Shakuni was playing. So it was cheating. So anyway, so it was not Yudhishthira Maharaj's fault. Now, Yudhishthira Maharaj is teaching us that there could have been something done better. That when he was invited, now he cannot refuse because Maharaj Dhritarashtra is invited. What Yudhishthira Maharaj could have done is he could have taken Krishna with him. Krishna, now I am in this dharma sankat. My father figure, Maharaj Dhritarashtra, is inviting me. I cannot refuse, but I am suspecting they have some envy because just now we did the Rajasuya Yajna and Duryodhan saw how many nice gifts we got. So he wants to take everything away. He's going to cheat me and rob me of all my wealth. Wealth belongs to the kingdom. Wealth belongs to you. So Krishna, you please come with me. Be next to me. Like Arjun said, Krishna, you come and be on my chariot. Don't fight, no problem. I don't want your army, I want you. If Yudhishthira had done that, then this would not have happened. Because where there is Krishna, there is victory. Shakuni father, Bap also could not have defeated Krishna. So like that. Is that okay, Muktanga bro?
Yes, nice bro. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Okay, we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki.
Yeah.
Nitai Gaur Premanandi. Hari. Thank you very much.